Kate Mila Falcha, welcome to Irish Granny Helen, and welcome to Nate of the Third Wish. Welcome back.
Hi, Ellen. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, everybody else was booked. So this is our uh, très amusant moment.
Oh, yes.
I've been practicing.
Yes.
So, as I just told Nate, I was frantic this morning trying to find something. It's kind of a shortage of entertainment the last week or so. I finally found something. I almost wept tears of relief that I found something. How about you? Did you find something?
I did put quite a bit of research as usual and found, something. So my hard work was rewarded, and
You
I'm
make me
glad.
mad. I know what you were like in school. I went to school with people like you. I would study. First day of class, they would say at end of the
Mhm.
semester, you will have a term paper, right? First day of class, I started working on the term paper. I worked on it all the way through. Blood, sweat, and tears, right? My friend would start working on it, 8 o'clock the night before it was due, and she'd get a better grade. So I know your kind. I know what you're up to. I know. So what's your story?
Well, I was looking into some odd, I was inspired. Let me start with that. I was inspired by one of your stories with the role of cheese and the competition of the cheese going downhill. So I was saying, well, what would be some of those competitions that exist, let's just say in France, that are true official competitions of either throwing something or, that sort of thing. So I found a few. There's a national contest of throwing uh, a cow's poop. There is a
I've
national,
heard of that. Buffalo
yes.
chips, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Of course, beret. How far you can throw a beret?
No.
Yes, yes. Um, there's a kind of flip flop that is war in the south that you also a competition, national competition of throwing as far as you can.
Is it like a
A
traditional kind of
yeah, yeah, a flip flop type
made of leather?
shoe.
Yeah.
Uh, it feels like almost like no, it's like a
Sisal, like rope?
rope. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
A box of oysters, like a wooden box of oysters that are thrown. Yes.
What? Are they
Uh,
like out of the shell?
well, they're in their shells in a wooden box, and then you throw the wooden box.
Okay.
I'm
That's just
just
weird. Weird.
they also like a water a pitcher that would be part of that. Artichokes, uh, paper planes.
I had no idea that the French were so athletic.
Well, it's and then also also there's also some different competitions that also are worth a mention. There's a national race where you bring your own snail, and it's the one that cross the mark the fastest.
And this can go on for what, days?
Well, oh yeah.
Seriously?
Um, there's also a contest where you have to you the best person to imitate a turkey.
Oh, a turkey call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Etc. 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 The last one that I saw, it's also about throwing or more likely spitting the pit of a cherry
Oh, God.
as far as you can. And all of those are official national competitions where tens of thousands of people attend, watch, compete, and usually in the summer. So since we're getting into the summer, I wanted to kind of keep you appraised of all the different competitions, just in case you wanted to enter one.
Well, see, I
You
thought
could
maybe
pick.
you were
Yeah,
in training for one of them.
I would do the beret one because I think you know makes could, I would
It
look
makes
good
total
in a
sense
beret.
because
Yes.
you know why? My father used to wear a beret
Oh,
and just humiliate us. So, you're a teenager, anything like that, anything slightly out of the ordinary, the conventional, pushes you right over the deep end, right? And keep in mind, we're talking Southern California. You don't see a lot of berets in like the early 70s in Southern California. Oh my God. I just remember the cringe factor was extremely
oh,
high. Now I would just laugh, it just shows
yes.
you how immature you are when you're a kid, but oh my
I
God.
know.
So I'm surprised there's not a yodeling contest because of the
No.
Alps. No.
Well, maybe in the Alps, but that would be more like in Austria or Swiss.
Is it the Apennine? What are the hills that are the mountains that are at the top of? Oh, I'm thinking Italy. Because we were talking about Italy. I'm thinking the boot. What's above the cup of the boot? Okay, never mind. You do have a somewhat. Well, I'll say Lorraine, right? There's sort of a
That's
Germanic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, they were German for multiple times back and forth.
yeah. They cannot decide. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. No.
Yeah.
So which one are you entering besides the beret?
Well, I think, I felt like it could be fun to train my own snail
I
for a
was going to say the
competition.
same thing. That's exactly what I was going to suggest because that'd be the least tiring for you. All you have to do is sit there.
Well, it's very tiring for the eyes to stare, to see the progress.
I think the stress would kill you. Come on. And here's my question. This is terrible, but my mind immediately went to this. What happens to those snails at the end of the race?
Well,
Do they just
obviously,
pitch them?
well, most people would eat them
Oh, God. You eat them, but first you make them work.
with butter and garlic. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
terrible.
and parsley, butter, garlic is the usual
I've
recipe.
had snails, yeah, but they're I don't like the texture. They're a little tough.
No,
Yeah. They're okay. I mean, they don't taste weird or anything, but they're just not they're kind of chewy. Yeah.
I
What's
never
the
had. Not
You've
interested.
never had them? Oh,
No, no,
come
I'm not
on.
interested. I'm not interested.
What about oysters?
Oh, that's
Oh, you
actually
can't eat seafood.
no, no, and it's actually started with an oyster.
Oh. Oh,
So
my
that's a
mother was
big
allergic.
no-no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too bad because I love oysters.
Whether you
Yeah.
could do the oyster throw competition.
No, I wouldn't waste them. That's a
Maybe you'll do
waste.
the well, not necessarily, but the artichokes. Yeah.
Mm.
You
We
don't care
grow
for
art.
artichokes?
I like artichoke. I have mixed feelings. We grow them. I grow them,
Oh, you don't
and
care as much?
I like them, but I don't like the spiky part.
Oh, you remove them?
I'm never good at it. I always end
Oh,
up,
no, you
ugh.
clean them very well, and the best is you do a soup. It's
Okay,
really
now you're
good.
talking about too much effort.
Okay.
That's a lot of work. Now, they should have a television competition. The world's laziest cook. That would be me. All I can do to push the microwave buttons. I hate to cook. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. But you have to understand, I'm a good cook. But I did it for 25 years. 3 meals a day, 7 people. How many meals is that? Thousands of meals. If I never see another pot or pan, it'll be too soon. No, thank you. And, you know, some people, cooking is a real relaxing thing for them.
Therapeutic. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's like chemistry lab in college. You never quite know how it's going to turn out.
That's the best part. Did you like chemistry when you were
No,
in school?
no, I didn't like
Oh, I
chemistry.
loved chemistry.
I liked physiology and I liked anatomy. I liked things having to do with systems in the
Human.
body.
Oh.
I didn't like physics and I didn't like chemistry. No.
Oh, I like mixing stuff that would blow up, or I mean, smoke would come out and then change the color, and I mean,
I used to put the Bunsen burner, and this is in college, right? Put the Bunsen burner on really low and ask my lab partner to keep an eye on it, and I'd go get coffee. I just was so bored, not into it. It always astounded me how some people really connected to it, but I connected more with, I don't know, I just remember studying for physiology class and anatomy class and really finding it compelling. I took endocrinology. I love that, learning about all the hormones and stuff. I like that. I liked anything that applied to the human body in the real world. I like that. Yeah. Actually, I liked English literature, but that's a whole other thing. So have I got a story for you? So before I start this story, yes, it's true, but it's a story I read. The first time I read about it this morning, I was horrified. And then I misplaced the article. So I had to Google it to try to find it. And I got a different source about the same story. And they were saying, yes, this is true. But this is a story that pops up every couple of years. And it never really goes anywhere, but it could. And if certain rich people have their way, it is going to happen. And I'm horribly humiliated to say that the person who's pushing it the most is Irish. So wait till you hear this. So according to the article, take it with a block of salt. It probably won't happen next year. Coming in 2026 from an Italian design company called Avio Interiors, a little something they like to call the Sky Rider. What is this? They have devised a way to cram more than 20% more passengers into an airplane by making them stand up through the whole trip.
yes.
Oh my God. Airplanes are not uncomfortable enough. They've found a way to make them worse. So the distance between your seat and the next seat is about 31, 32 inches. With this contraption, it would be 23 inches. Why don't, I mean, it was described as being packed in like library books.
Yeah. Or sardines.
Yes. And what they look like. So there's a back, like a seat back. And then what looks like the seat of a bicycle. And you straddle it and you stand and you're strapped in.
Yes.
So this is the pet project of a guy called Michael O'Leary, who's the CEO of Ryanair, an Irish Airlines. And he really likes the idea. His attitude is, you can stand 2 hours for a concert. You can stand 2 hours for a flight. He's a real arrogant SOB. I watched a video. He actually has talked about this and about charging money for you to use the toilet.
Yes, or water, or very basic things.
Barf bags for air sickness, charging for them. I bring my own Ziploc. But he admits that he talks about this stuff because it's cheap publicity. It always gets publicity. However, he's got this very arrogant, I'm a billionaire, and the lower forms of life, who cares if you're not comfortable? It's degrading. So anyway, not to worry. They say that it doesn't meet requirements, regulatory requirements. It hasn't been studied for safety, and it probably won't be unless corruption gets really bad. So they're right on track for next year. It would require more flight attendants because they're adding to the number of passengers, and regulations say 2 flight attendants for every, how many passengers? Can you guess?
40?
50,
Yeah.
which doesn't seem like enough. It gives you less, I can't believe I have to say this, gives you less physical protection from crash or flying objects, you know, if you had trouble. And
Turbulences.
it goes against the Disabilities Act because some people would be not capable
Of standing.
resting on, may not have 2 legs, you know. Yeah, so not a good idea. I mean, they want to treat us as badly as they treat animals.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about these. I heard also another configuration where it's seated, but someone's sitting at your eye level.
I've seen.
Yes.
That's creepy. It's claustrophobic.
So yeah, it's like you're.
Have you ever flown first class?
Business.
What's the difference?
Well, there are some airlines that are very luxurious that have a first, a business, a premium economy, and an economy.
Oh.
But first would be a suite type. That I've never experienced ever. But
I've never been in that kind of plane.
I've flown business.
And that's fancy?
Usually what makes the difference so for example, one time I flew business, and I think we were 4 passengers in the plane. That was during COVID. So they were giving them for nothing.
Oh, well, I had an experience with first class. Obviously, I don't fly very much.
Oh, sorry, Helen. It depends also. The experience is usually domestic or international. It's a complete different experience. I was
Fancier,
talking,
long
yeah, like
flight.
you on the internet. What makes first or business is you actually have a flat bed.
Oh. Is there a nightstand and a reading lamp? And
Yeah, yeah,
oh, come
yeah.
on, are you serious? Oh my
Yes.
God. One of my
I
daughters.
remember I did once with Air France, obviously, and all I remember, I know this is a small detail. I could have remembered the meal, or I don't know why I remember this detail, but for me that was very important. There were 4 different kinds of water.
Different, like flat.
Evian, Perrier, I thought, to me that was luxury. Like the ability to have a different type of water, that was pretty cool.
Oh, didn't they bring you champagne?
Yeah, but I see luxury is different from each person. For me, having like, you can have all those
An
waters.
array.
Yes, I was like, oh, wow.
I once flew from well, one of the 2 times in my life I went anywhere. We flew through Holland, through Netherlands, and we took KAL. That's
KLM,
KAL, yeah.
KLM.
And it was great because the flight attendants were fun. They actually interacted. Sometimes flight attendants can be kind of, they've had a long day, right? This one guy was really fun and was fun to talk to. And I don't know if it was Belgium or Holland that was the influence. They had a gigantic bowl of chocolates. So it's my favorite flight I ever took. So one of my daughters went to graduate school in Chicago, and O'Hare is a special little piece of hell. O'Hare Airport. I would never recommend it. I got stuck on the tarmac for 5 hours in an unair conditioned airplane,
Ooh.
and we were belted in, and it was a nightmare. They finally ended up, after we got in line to take off, and we're almost towards the beginning of the line, they took us back to the gate. There was a passenger who got sick.
Mm.
And then we waited and waited. And as it transpires, and this is a long time ago, she had gotten off an airplane from, I think, Asia, and gotten on this plane and then gotten sick. And they thought we might all have to be quarantined.
Oh.
Oh my God, it was a nightmare. So, but this is a different time. I was alone on that flight. My daughter went to school, and I took my youngest daughter and her best friend, who was like a niece, you know. I've known her since before her mother and I were pregnant at the same time. They were born within a few weeks of each other. So she spent her entire childhood at my house. And when they were about 7, we went to visit my older daughter, and they had never flown before. So I kind of knew some of the tricks, and we get to the airport and we're sitting around, and they announce, would anybody volunteer to get bumped? We're overbooked. And my hand shot up, you know. And long story short, we got a free flight, you know, a ticket for a free flight. And the girls were so upset. We had to wait an extra 45 minutes. And they put us in first class. They had no idea. We're in the front row of first class. I'm living large. I'm like, oh my God, I am so glad I volunteered. We were in no hurry. You know,
No.
we were just going to get to the airport, take a bus, and go to my daughter's apartment. No. The 2 little girls were so mad because you made us wait longer, and they had no idea the service that we got, you know, in first class. It was hilarious. You know, hot towels with lemon, and I'm like,
Warm
oh
nuts.
my God.
Warm nuts.
I don't remember that. I was still focused on the hot towels.
Um,
But I just do remember how irate they were. God, Mom, I can't believe you did that. Shut up and enjoy it. This is the only time you're ever going to be in first class. Anyway, one more
Yes.
short story that I found at the very last minute. It was shocking. It's from March of this year, from Barton County, Kansas. This is every babysitter's worst nightmare. This teenager was babysitting some kids, and one of them didn't want to go to bed. She said, there's a monster under the bed. And the babysitter is, you're fine, go to bed. I can't, there's a monster under the bed. The babysitter looked under the bed. There was a guy hiding under the bed.
What
So
was
what happened?
there?
Okay, there was a 27-year-old guy hiding under the bed. So here's the story. Apparently, he had a relationship with whoever lived in the house. It didn't say specifically. I'm thinking the mom of this kid, right? And he was kicked out, and he was under a protective order to stay away for all kinds of, you know, you
Oh
can
my
imagine.
God.
And he had been in jail, and he got bailed out. And he'd come back to the house and had broken in, and there was a monster under the bed. And so they arrested him again. And this time he got charged with kidnapping and felony breaking and entering or whatever. So it became much worse for him. But I used to babysit all the time. I mean, we had a lot of kids in the neighborhood when I was 12, 13, 14. So do you remember, you know, the Manson family, right? Well,
Wow.
you remember Charles Manson and
Yes.
Sharon Tate. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So when that happened, I was babysitting, and about 100 miles north of where it happened, right? And so nobody knew who had done it. Everybody was really worried about it. It was kind of scary. I'm 13, 14. I don't remember what year it was, 68, 69, something like that. I'm alone in this house with these small children. I'm just, oh my God. And then the next night, the the Bianches, the La Bianca, the man and his wife, they killed them too. Do
Oh,
you remember
yeah.
that? And at that point, I was like, oh my God, I'm never babysitting again. Well, just to make it scary, when the book came out, Bugliosi's book about the Manson family, they told people, they admitted that they had driven up the coast to Santa Barbara and had driven around looking for somebody to kill in Santa Barbara, that they had sat in their car at red lights and thought about killing the people in the car next to them waiting at the red light. And they'd driven around neighborhoods just looking for art.
My
Oh my
God.
God. So on that happy note, isn't that scary? Babysitting can be
Wow.
very
Can
scary when you're
be,
in.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you hear these horror stories, and every once in a while, it's a real story.
Something, I know.
Monsters under the bed. Oh God, that's terrible. Okay,
Yep.
monsters in the boardroom and monsters under the bed. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. Bye, Slumber Foil.